Hey, Raiders fans. Today we are diving deep into some of the wildest trade ideas that have been floating around online regarding our beloved Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know I talk a lot about trade possibilities, probably more than most people, but some of these concepts really make you scratch your head. It seems like everyone has their own vision of what the Raiders should do, imagining blockbuster trades, bringing in big-name players, and shaking up the roster entirely. But when you look closely, not all of these ideas make sense for the team, and some of them, honestly, are just baffling. So today, I decided to sift through all the trade chatter on the internet and pick out the top 5 trade proposals that make me cringe the most, and I'll be walking you through them from number 5 down to the number 1 worst idea. Starting with number 5. This trade came from one of the big sports sites, and it suggested that the Raiders should acquire cornerback Reek Wool in exchange for sending Jackson Powers-Johnson to the Seahawks. Now, I get it. Everyone wants to strengthen the secondary, and having Reek Wool in the backfield could look attractive on paper. But giving up JPJ, an interior offensive lineman who has proven himself to be a critical piece of our line, is simply not worth it. Protecting the quarterback is a fundamental part of building a team, and losing a player of JPJ's caliber for a cornerback, no matter how talented, would disrupt the balance of the roster. And let's be honest, any player on our team who is seen as potentially pushing another team over the top in a Super Bowl scenario is probably not someone you want to part with lightly. So while this idea might sound flashy online, in reality, it's one of those trades that makes you question whether the writers truly understand what the Raiders need. Moving on to the 4th worst trade, we encounter a scenario involving Jacoby Myers and the New England Patriots. According to the idea floating around, the Raiders would send Myers to New England in exchange for a 5th-round pick. Now, let's break that down. First of all, the Raiders are reportedly targeting at least a 2nd or 3rd-round pick for Myers, so getting only a 5th-rounder is already undervaluing him. Even if you look at the compensatory pick system, retaining Myers could eventually net a 4th-round compensatory pick in a later year, so trading him for less than that doesn't make strategic sense. Beyond the draft value, Myers is a proven contributor who fits into our offense and could help support our young quarterback. Losing a player like him for minimal return just doesn't add up when you think about building a sustainable, competitive roster. And speaking of our quarterback, we all know that Drake may have shown incredible potential this season, and keeping weapons around him is crucial to maintaining his growth and ensuring that our offense remains effective. So a trade that weakens that support system is not something I would ever back. Next, we move to the 3rd worst trade idea, another one coming from major sports coverage, which suggested that the Raiders acquire quarterback Anthony Richardson along with a 6th-round pick, sending our top cornerback Eric Stokes to the Colts. Now, this one is a real head-scratcher. Giving up arguably our best cornerback this season for a quarterback who is still a question mark is a huge risk. Anthony Richardson is undeniably a great athlete, but his quarterback skills are inconsistent at best, and putting him in a competitive starting role for Las Vegas would be a gamble that I'm not willing to take. Our team has already dealt with quarterback uncertainty in previous seasons, and adding another unproven option doesn't solve any problems. It potentially creates more. I would much rather trust our current roster and development plan, investing in players who can contribute immediately and stabilize the team, rather than bringing in a player whose ceiling is uncertain and whose presence could disrupt chemistry. This trade idea, if actually attempted, would likely cause more harm than good, and seems to overlook the importance of continuity and protecting key positions on both sides of the ball. The 2nd worst trade on the list involves a proposal from ESPN suggesting that the Raiders should acquire quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, along with 2nd-round picks in 2026 and 2027, while sending just a 5th-round pick to the Miami Dolphins. At first glance, it might seem like a clever strategy to secure a young quarterback and additional draft capital, but the financial and strategic implications make it highly problematic. Tua's contract would cost an enormous portion of our cap space, potentially tying up around $70 million in guaranteed money over 2 seasons. That kind of financial commitment for a quarterback who is not guaranteed to be a long-term solution puts the team at considerable risk. Moreover, committing to a young quarterback in this manner limits flexibility in building the rest of the roster, particularly when there are other pressing needs like bolstering the offensive line and ensuring depth across multiple positions. Essentially, this trade would force the Raiders into a situation where they are paying exorbitant sums for picks while also potentially overinvesting in a quarterback who may not even fit the long-term vision of the team. It's a classic example of why some trade ideas, while flashy on paper, fail to consider the practical realities of team building. Finally, we arrive at the number one worst trade idea, which involved Max Crosby potentially being sent to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, this one might actually be the most absurd of all because the proposal lacked any serious planning. The idea was floated almost lazily, just suggesting that Crosby would make sense for the 49ers without even outlining what the trade would look like. Max Crosby is a cornerstone of the Raiders' defense and a player under contract through 2029. Trading away a key edge rusher of his caliber without a clearly beneficial return would severely weaken our defensive front. The 49ers, on the other hand, have been struggling with edge rushers this season, particularly following injuries. So while the logic of their need is understandable, it doesn't justify sacrificing one of our best talents. Trades like this highlight the danger of entertaining ideas that sound exciting in conversation, but, in practice, would destabilize the team's core. A move like sending Crosby away would remove a foundational player, disrupt the defensive unit, and ultimately fail to address the Raiders' strategic needs in a meaningful way. When you step back and look at all these proposed trades, there's a clear pattern emerging. Many of the ideas circulating online prioritize flash over substance, favoring headline-grabbing moves rather than building a roster capable of sustainable success. While it's tempting to imagine a blockbuster trade that instantly transforms the team, reality demands careful consideration of positional value, salary cap implications, and the development of young talent. The Raiders have a promising young quarterback in Drake May, and protecting him with a strong offensive line, reliable skill players, and a competent defense should always come first. Sacrificing key contributors like JPJ, Eric Stokes, or Max Crosby for the sake of acquiring a flashy name or an unproven player undermines the stability and long-term success of the franchise. Fans love to speculate about trades, and it's fun to imagine the possibilities, but when you analyze the impact on team balance, roster depth, and future draft capital, many of these ideas fall apart under scrutiny. Adding to that, the financial aspect cannot be ignored. Some of these trades involve committing massive sums of money to players who may not even fit the system or solve the team's immediate needs. The Raiders need to maintain cap flexibility to ensure they can address weak spots, sign impactful free agents, and continue developing homegrown talent. Overspending on a quarterback or trading for an expensive veteran edge player without a clear plan could hamper the team's ability to compete not just this season, but for years to come. Strategic, measured moves are far more valuable than impulsive trades that look good in headlines but make little sense on the field. And finally, the human element plays a significant role. Players like JPJ, Jacoby Myers, and Max Crosby are not just pieces on a chessboard. They are individuals who contribute to team chemistry, leadership, and culture. Trading away cornerstone players for the sake of speculation risks disrupting the locker room, morale, and the overall trajectory of the franchise. Every move must consider both on-field performance and the intangible impact a player has within the team. In evaluating trade ideas, it's crucial to weigh not just the immediate statistics, but also the broader implications for team cohesion, coaching strategy, and the development of emerging stars like Drake May. Now, moving on from the wildest trades that make you scratch your head, let's talk about some of the ongoing rumors and ideas that have been buzzing around the Raiders fan base and media circles. While the first set of trades we discussed were more about hypothetical shock value, the conversations surrounding potential moves are important because they reflect the kind of roster decisions that could actually shape the team's future. The Raiders have a roster filled with young talent, and the key question now is how to balance development with immediate competitiveness. Fans are excited, but they also need to temper expectations with reality, understanding that not every blockbuster idea is feasible or beneficial. Some of the suggestions online are fun to discuss, but the ones that make the most sense are those that prioritize strengthening the offensive line, protecting Drake May, and ensuring the defense remains elite. One recurring topic is the quarterback situation. Drake May has been phenomenal, and it's hard to overstate just how crucial it is to build around him. Yet, there's always chatter about bringing in veteran quarterbacks or high-profile names. The problem is when you start entertaining these ideas, it risks destabilizing the young quarterback who has already shown he can command the offense. The goal should be to invest in players who complement him and help him grow rather than introducing more uncertainty. Every trade that hypothetically adds a veteran quarterback at the cost of depth elsewhere is a potential setback. The Raiders have already learned from previous seasons that chasing a flashy name without evaluating the bigger picture can lead to missed opportunities and a lack of cohesion. The offensive line, as I've said before, cannot be overstated. It's the backbone of any successful NFL offense, and for a quarterback like Drake May, protecting him is not optional, it's mandatory. Losing players like JPJ or other interior linemen for secondary or speculative trades undermines this foundation. Even minor mistakes in personnel decisions along the line can snowball into significant issues, affecting both the passing and running games. Fans sometimes get caught up in the excitement of trade rumors without realizing how much these moves impact the entire team structure. The Raiders need to make calculated moves that reinforce the positions that truly matter while also keeping cap flexibility to address future needs. Defensively, maintaining talent like Max Crosby and Eric Stokes is critical. The pass rush and secondary have been areas where the team has seen consistent production, and giving up these players for unproven or flashy acquisitions would be short-sighted. Raiders fans understand that building a dominant defense takes time and consistent pieces, and trading away cornerstone players would risk unraveling the progress made over the past seasons. Even when trade rumors sound appealing on paper, it's essential to think about the chemistry, leadership, and skill each player brings to the team. Losing a player like Crosby or Stokes is not just about stats. It's about the role they play in anchoring the defense and setting the tone for games. Another angle worth discussing is draft capital. Many proposed trades involve picks that might seem small in isolation, but carry long-term significance. Sacrificing second- or third-round picks for short-term gains can limit the team's ability to develop homegrown talent, which is especially important for the Raiders as they try to maintain competitiveness over multiple seasons. Draft picks are investments in the future, and preserving them allows for continued depth, flexibility, and the chance to uncover the next cornerstone player. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are turning into roars in the NFL world as the rumor mill spins wildly around Las Vegas. According to multiple insiders who prefer to stay unnamed, because, let's face it, in the NFL, nothing stays secret for long. Aaron Donald, the monstrous defensive tackle whose name alone sends shivers through offensive lines, has allegedly signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. If this buzz proves true, the Raiders could be on the verge of transforming their defense from formidable to nearly unstoppable. Donald, a three-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, has long been considered a nightmare for quarterbacks. His alleged move to the Raiders has already sparked speculation that the AFC West could be in for a season of chaos. Sources close to the locker room claim that Donald, in true Aaron fashion, has promised a hunt for the QBs of the AFC West, which, if taken literally, could make Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson start double-checking their blind spots every Sunday. The Raiders, who have been rebuilding steadily under the radar, would gain not just a defensive powerhouse, but also a psychological edge. Imagine a defensive line anchored by Donald, offensive coordinators sweating through playbooks, linemen trembling at the snap, quarterbacks looking over their shoulders even before the ball is snapped. It's a scenario that feels more like a superhero comic than a football season. Yet in the NFL, stranger things have happened. Fans have already flooded social media with memes, mock trade announcements, and highlight reels of Donald's career. Vegas sportsbooks reportedly have the Raiders' odds subtly shifting, though officials haven't confirmed any move. Still, the mere possibility is enough to send a ripple across the league, making the Raiders suddenly one of the most talked-about teams of the offseason. The chatter continues. Could this signing be the final piece to make the Raiders a true contender, or is it just another tantalizing rumor designed to drive ticket sales and clicks? Either way, if Aaron Donald really is setting his sights on the AFC West quarterbacks, the division, and the league, better brace for impact. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.